Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a very special video showing off the new Varangian Guard Viking hero. She is classed as a medium difficulty hero and she is also classed as a heavy. And then her subsection is Protector and Disabler. So essentially she is a support character. So for today's video, we're going to go over her moveset, and then we're going to go into some of the little intricacies within that moveset, and some tips and tricks, and then show off some other things like emotes, and also her executions, which everyone always loves. Okay, so we have another Varangian guard here, who is going to be our test dummy for this session. So first things first, she has a 2-hit chain. Very, very simple to understand. Basically R1, 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 R2, R2, R1, and R2, R2. Those are all the possible combinations of attacks that she can do from neutral. Some of you eagle-eyed players will notice that she has some specific properties for those attacks. So all of her lights, including her chain lights, have superior block. So they will crushing counter. And her second heavy is an unblockable. So you can do a light and then a heavy, and that will be unblockable. And then you can also do a heavy and a heavy, and that will be unblockable. It also pins as well for a moment, which means that your enemies could get smacked by another attack from your opponents a bit, or your friendlies, so they could get smacked by their opponents, but your teammates as well. So then the next move we have on the moveset, this is the moveset here. So we've covered all those 2-hit chains. She has a zone attack, which looks like this. Comes out from your right, does 13 damage, which is one more than a light. She can't, however, chain a zone from an attack, so you can't do light then zone, unlike other characters, but she can do zone and then any other attack. So she can do zone then light, or zone and then heavy. Now her zone attack does one more damage than a light makes 12 damage. But it also has a greater trajectory, which means that it can hit from a wider angle, meaning that you can defend yourself in team fights and hit enemies around you. So that is a bonus from this zone attack. However, it does take a bit more stamina, so you can't keep using that, because that takes 30 stamina, whereas a light just takes 9. So a light will be less than a third. Next thing on the moveset is her running attack. So this is fairly simple to understand. You're not locked on, you're just running around, and then press R2 and smack, which does 16 damage. You can also chain that into anything else, just as before, so it's just basically classed as a heavy, so you can do heavy and then light. You can also whiff the attack and follow up, and it still works, as you just saw. Next thing, so now we'll get into her bashes. She can only bash from the front, hence why the arrow is forward. So you can do forward bash, like that. And then that kind of follow up with a light, which does 12 damage, just like a normal light. Then you've got her dodge lights, which also have superior block lights, hence the symbol there. So she has that forward and to the side. Also doing 12 damage from the front, but the sides do 14 actually, so that is to note. Now we're going to get into her special stuff, basically. She has a full block, which isn't anything new. It is a temporary full block, which means that you can't hold it down. A little bit like Adobe, for those who have played that in the past. So all you do is you press the down joystick when you're guarding, if you're on controller. And then if you're on PC, then you'll press whatever button you've assigned to the full block, which I believe is normally C as default. So yeah, just press down on your guard if you're on controller. and that will block any attack apart from an unblockable attack, hence the name. So there are a few things you can do from this. You can follow up with a bash, a light, a heavy, or a zone. So I shall quickly get this bot here to attack us. And then we can show that off. So you can bash there. You can light. You can heavy. And finally, you can zone. So 4 different options there. We'll get into later what you can then follow up from those, but those are the basic combinations. And that is all of her moveset. So she's not too difficult a character to understand. To master her is a bit different though, as mentioned in the live stream the other day from the time of filming. So not really too difficult things to pick up. She's got some hero-specific things which we've already sort of touched on. So she's got chain starters, so like the Sellsword's Valor and Bounty, Legion of Charge, Spiral, Oathkeeper Spiral. So basically what that means is that all of her like dodge lights and stuff, they can be started as a chain starter. A running attack, that could be a chain starter. A zone, all that good stuff. It just makes things so much simpler to pick up and understand, because you realise that, oh, I've done an attack, I can follow up with another attack, basically. Superior block lights, that's what we have mentioned. They're also called crushing counters. So your superior blocks, when you superior block an enemy, you can make your attack unblockable. Then your Azir heavy finishers, as we mentioned, they are unblockable, so that's the second heavy in the chain. Then you have your Azir bind, so Azir attacks will embed your axe and bind the opponent for a short time. You can press square to perform a headbutt follow-up. We'll show you that in a bit. Oathkeeper hold, so successfully blocking an enemy with Oathkeeper will bind them. So basically that Oathkeeper hold is here it is. So that is the full block. Then you've got Oathkeeper reprisal, so follow-ups will be done on your locked target instead of your last blocked target. So you can block from the side and then still attack your person that you're locked onto, basically. So they don't have to attack you to get smacked by a follow-up from the Oathkeeper. You can then cancel, so all non-melee attacks, recoveries, and all heavy attack startups can be cancelled with Oathkeeper. So that means that if you do an attack and it whiffs, so like that, you can then go straight into it. So there's no like janky cooldown or anything. You can go into that and then go straight into it. Then the next thing is the dodge cancels. So during the Azir bind or the Oathkeeper block, you can press the dodge button. For me, it is the X because I'm on PS4. But whatever controller you're using, whether it be Xbox, it'll be A, I think. And then for keyboard, wherever you've got it bound to, so normally spacebar. Then revenge mode, which every character has, which I think we should all know what that is. You can get revenge, and that is all of her basic moves. As I said, it's not too tricky to understand, so if you're a new player, this might be a character choice for you. But to actually master her abilities, that is a different question. So then let's get into her advanced moveset. So her advanced moveset is basically going to encompass what we touched on in the basic moveset, and show off some of the situations that you might want to use the abilities which are lesser used. So from her Oathkeeper / her full block mode, as we know, we can do 4 different things, but you can actually follow up with a number of different things to pressure your opponent as much as possible. So let's start with the follow-up light. So from the follow-up light, that is classed as a chain starter, so you can then pressure with another unblockable attack, as the unblockable attack will be classed as the second attack in the chain. So if we just get this bot to attack us, we can basically keep going like this Like that. And keep following up with attacks from the light because, as I said, it's classed as a chain starter. Similarly, the next thing you can do is well, let's do the zone follow-up actually. The zone is classed as a chain starter. So you can keep doing that. Which is a little bit different to the light. I'm not hugely convinced about the benefit of using the light over the zone because the zone does 3 more damage. The only thing with the zone is that it does take a lot more stamina, so that's the only reason why I wouldn't use the zone follow-up. You can follow up with both anyway. So yeah, unless you're really low on stam, I'd just go for the zone attack. The next thing is the heavy follow-up. So you can then headbutt them afterwards, as you just saw there. So this can apply a bit more pressure to them. We've got everything on regenerate, so see the figures down there. That was the bash actually, which is the next thing we're going to show off. But I'm just going to show you this thing again. So you can do the follow-up with the zone, you can do it with the light, and then you can do the heavy. So there are pins there, and then you can then follow up with a bash. But you can't do heavy and then heavy. So because you're pinned there, you can't then follow up with a heavy. That heavy there that I just did was a neutral heavy, wasn't actually in a chain, hence why it wasn't unblockable. So the next thing then is the bash follow-up. So as you saw there, it pushes them back. Now, if there isn't a wall behind them, then it's not going to be a huge amount of use. Wall or a ledge, of course. However, if you do manage to get them to a wall, you then get a top heavy. And top heavy is the maximum damage that you can get, because just the normal heavy is only 20 damage. Whereas that heavy on the wall is 27. So you can basically use that kind of walls behind them to get more damage. So yeah, and you've got quite a generous amount of time on that as well. The Oathkeeper move, you can actually, so I've been doing just instant follow-ups, but you can actually delay it massively. So if I do just an instant follow-up now, that's how it looks like. However, if I delay it for a fraction of a second, it will look like this. You can see there, it basically gives me a load of time to choose what I want to do. So that was delayed there. I'll see if I can delay it anymore. Yeah, that's about as much as I can delay it, I think. See if I can delay it a little bit more. Basically, the way I like to look at it is if you look at my character's shield, if that is highlighted in white, then that means I can still do a follow-up. As soon as that white goes away, then I feel like that's your signal to say you've missed the chance to do a follow-up. So if I don't follow up, shield will go from white to non-white. As you can see, the colour actually changes. So there, that's about the limit I can do, but if I hold it way too long, then I can't do a heavy. It'll just stop me from doing it. So that is one little tip that I'll give you for free, that I've noticed. So as I said before, she's got superior block on her lights. So let's set that. So you get 18 damage for that, as opposed to 12 for just regular light. it again. And you can follow up with another attack. So yeah, it looks like that, and you get 18. Then we just try that again. Of course, keep doing that. Great thing about this crushing counter, superior block, is that it only takes 9 stamina. So you can do 18 damage without much of a trade-off in terms of stam. Your dodge lights also have the same ability, so let's forward dodge. That does a little bit more, that does 20 damage, and it still costs 9 stamina. So actually, if you're really going to commit to a crushing counter, then you want to be dodging and then do the attack. It's not like a deflect when you have to dodge as soon as you see the flash. You dodge first, and then you do the attack when you see the flash, or when their weapon hits you, basically, if you're doing it by directing by animation. So there, as you saw there. So you have to dodge first, and then do the attack when it hits you. That is the critical thing you need to know there. One other thing I forgot to show you on the Oathkeeper full block is that you can dodge instantly as well. So technically there is a 5th option. So if I do this, I can dodge very quickly from that. So if you're in a tight spot and someone's going to try and use an unblockable on you, technically this is your way around that. So she's not like Blackbriar when she can flip unblockables. She can actually get out of it. So if someone behind you was to use an unblockable, you'd be able to dodge it, unless it's got like a massive trajectory. I don't know all the details on the iframes, etc. For example, that basically means that when you're invulnerable to attacks, but it is another option to be aware of. So then, basic max punishes. So obviously we all know that you can Guardbreak enemies. So with this hero, you can get a heavy, but the heavy can only be confirmed from the sides. So you get 24 damage from the right hand side and the left hand side. It's not actually confirmed from the top though. So yeah, they can block it there. So yeah, she's a side attacker from GB. If you do choose to parry over her many other awesome options that she has, you can do a light from a heavy, which should get you 12, or you can do a zone attack, which will get you 13 instead. Obviously, if you parry a heavy, you can't then get a heavy. Has to be either a light or a zone. And as discussed before, if you want to do a light, then you can do. It'll cost you less stamina. But if you want to get as much damage as possible and stamina is not an issue for you, you can do the zone for 13. And of course, you can then follow up that zone with another attack. If you wish. And then if your opponent does a light attack, you can get a top heavy for 27. Whereas if you follow up with a side heavy, it'll only be the 24. Now, as for max punishes, these are not too tricky to understand. As far as I'm aware, and as far as I can test, the max punish for when they're out of stamina and you guard break and throw them is going to be zone into top heavy. So just throw them, zone, and then top heavy. Has to be the top heavy so that you do the 29 as opposed to 27, I believe. The zone, which gives you the 13 as opposed to 12 from a light, which gives you the very nice total of 42 damage. So you can throw them left, you can throw them right, you can throw them behind. But the only one that I don't think you'll get this from is if you throw them in front of you. I think they'll be too far away. But let's just try it. Oh no, just hits, yeah. but you might as well just throw them to your left or to your right just to make sure it's going to hit. It might be a case that you have to do the light and then heavy, for example. That would be if you're low on stamina yourself, so if you were to throw them forward and then light and then heavy, it would whiff. But if you were to throw them to the left, it's still definitely going to hit. And as you can see there, just the normal light does 12, but it takes 9 stamina for that hit, as mentioned before. And then the other thing is, well, I'll just show you just so that you can see for yourself. If I tried and do double heavy, it doesn't work because they can get up and they can actually they can parry that second attack. So yeah, even if I don't change my guard or anything like that, they'll still be able to get up before you can throw that second attack. So they will be able to parry that if they choose to. So then the next thing to show you is if they try and parry you at stam. So let's get her to try and parry me. So it is same punish. Zone into top heavy. You can't get two heavies. It's too slow. So yeah. In any at-stam scenario, it is just zone and then top heavy. So nice and easy to remember. No specific thing you need to do. So there you go. And obviously, you can choose to do that on them for the applied pressure. But obviously, you know, all that does basically is just get you into another unblockable quickly. So you have that option. But in most cases, best just to go for the zone into the top heavy, and that'll get you your max punish. And now I'll just show you some of the emotes that you can get. So the first hero specific one is the not fair one. It's getting annoyed at whatever reason. Not that hard to do on a game like this when there's annoying things around. Double slam is the next one. She's getting annoyed again. She's not having a good day by the looks of things. Next thing is better luck next time. Looks like she's annoyed a third time, but this time even more annoyed. Smacks her axe into the ground and then stretching out. So she doesn't look annoyed this time. She's getting ready for a battle. There we go. Showing off the flexibility of herself and her armor. And then that is it for the hero specific ones. And for the combat ones, we've got Hit Me. She slaps her cheek. And Axe Trick. Getting ready for battle, does a little twirl with her axe. And then Defiant Challenge. Takes a step forward and points her axe in front of her. And you're finished. Making a nice death gesture there to her opponents. And big flex. I think this is probably my favourite one. Shows off a bit more of her funny side, a bit more of her character, and I like actually how her on this helmet, her plume flips around when she does that with her head. Quite a nice touch. And then shield drum, where she uses her shield as, you guessed it, as a drum. So there we go. And then we have her execution. So the first one is head block. Basically using your opponent's head as a block, hence the name. I'll change the perspective here. So that's what it looks like if you're getting killed by a Varangian guard. Then we have back crack. which I think is my favourite one. Looks like the most painful one. I mean, all of these are going to be painful. This is from your opponent's perspective. Still looks very, very nice and spicy. Then we have Absolute Will, where they try and punch you, but then get their head absolutely decimated with a 3-strike combo, twice from the axe and once from the shield. This is how it looks from the opponent's side. I really like how she uses her shield as a weapon. It is a nice touch. And finally we have Axe and Hammer, where they try and punch you, but instead of finding you, they find your shield. And she uses her shield actually as like a hammer to chisel her axe into your shoulder, basically. So yeah, not particularly nice, but necessary for the Varangian guard. Finally, as a bonus, this is the new seasonal one, by the way, Gruesome Punishment, where they use some tongs there through the helmet. And that is not a nice way to go. I guess she's kind of like taking your eye out, or taking your opponent's eye out, which is, yeah, not nice. But again, necessary for the game. Obviously, for this warden, things are getting a bit heated. Yeah, this is from warden's perspective, your opponent's perspective. And there we go. Okay, so now we're going to take our Varangian guard into Dominion. We're going to take him into Dominion so that we can show off the feats and some of the gameplay. Obviously, these are all bots, these are not real players, but this is just a test scenario just to show you what can be done. So first of all, her tier 1 specific is Take Shelter, so it's a passive. Your superior blocks will heal, basically, nearby allies. I don't believe it will heal yourself, as it specifies obviously your nearby allies. And then you've got Mystier Ward, which is a passive again, so superior blocks will gain a defensive boost for a short time. This doesn't specify nearby allies, so I believe you can probably get it for yourself as well in that case. By the way, superior blocks, some people know them as crushing counters. Basically they are the lights on enemy attacks and they become unblockable. Then you've got Azir Aura, which is another passive. Hitting with an Azir attack grants an attack boost to you and nearby allies. Let's just get away from these enemies here before I get smacked. And finally, Reclaim the Land, which I think is her best one. Obviously her tier 4, which is an aerial attack that deals damage and lowers defense of enemies in range. So basically it's like a Arrow Storm, but then it also has a Doom Banner that's placed in its place as well. So if anyone else goes into that position, then they have more damage taken to them because they have lower defense. So yeah, a lot of passives. You want to be using your crushing counters a lot in the middle of fights, and your Azir attacks as well. Your Azir attacks, if you've forgotten, they are basically your heavy finishes, your unblockables. So let's crushing counter there, so you can see the cooldown there. That's it working. There were no allies in range there, so we didn't heal anyone. But that was the tier 2 Misty Award, so it gives me a defensive boost there. So I would have taken less damage. So we have a teammate here. Let's see if we can crushing counter and maybe heal her. I don't think we can, but let's. Oh, we just did a gank there. So there we go. That was the crushing counter, and I think it might have healed our team a little bit. So as you can see there, that's that tier 3 proccing there. So that is the attack boost. So for yourself and nearby allies.
You captured Zone A.
And we can keep doing it. And obviously, in an execution, the effect still happens, which is very nice. And then finally, the tier 4, which you can obviously aim here. And oh my god, that was shit. And then the final feat she has is obviously her tier 4, which, to be noted, you can't use it indoors because it is an aerial attack, so that's why you'll see this red X if you try and use it in an indoor space. However, obviously you can use it in an outdoor space, and you'll see what it does here. So it fires some arrows down, and then it leaves a doom banner in its place, and if any enemies go into that doom banner, they receive more damage.
The enemy rallies.
So this peacekeeper here, if she goes into the doom banner, I think it might work on enemies as well. But yeah, they'll take more damage. She died pretty quick then, so maybe she was just in that doom banner. Here comes another victim. Yeah, just saw it run out, but yeah, you get the gist. So she's a support character on the whole. She can help out your team, she can heal your team, prioritize those crash encounters in ganks. It's not something that people normally go for in ganks, but it can be used. It's got a bit more utility now with those feats. All of them being passive is also, well, those tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 being passive is really nice, because it means that you don't, it's one less kind of button to press when you're using your feats, so that's really nice. Let's see if I can use this again. So you can see the bots are trying not to go into this because they know that they're going to take more damage. See a bit of minion clear here as well. So you want to use that zone for minion clear, as it's got a big trajectory. And it also catches there if they dodge. It's got a decent trajectory on the dodge catching, which is nice. Here's our tier 4 again. Use the external crushing counter there. He's going to go through a revive. We'll let him get the revive.
You have my gratitude.
So as you saw there, I was locked on to the Conqueror, but I did my full block on the Peacekeeper, so that was showing off how you can still use the special attack on the character that you're not locked onto. And there we go. Finishing with my favourite executioner.
Victory!
So yeah, that was just a quick bot match, just to show off some of those things there, predominantly defeats. So that is it. I hope you guys have enjoyed that quick initial overview of the hero. Obviously it is due to be released tomorrow. Haven't taken it into the live game yet. Nobody has. This is just early access. These are not all my reps, by the way. This is just this is not my account, so that's why everything is at rep 15. And I certainly have not been grinding to rep 15 in one day, so that is why. But yeah, she's a heavy character, medium difficulty, protector, disabler, general all-round support. She's got a lot of passive feats. 3 of the 4 are passive. You want to prioritize those crushing counters to heal and buff your teammates, as well as do more damage by getting that unblockable second chain heavy to hit as well. And then in Dominion, you want to make sure that the point is indoors to use that tier 4. So hope you enjoy it. I'll be taking this character into the live game, obviously, when it releases, and getting some cool gameplay for you guys to show it off a bit more. If you have enjoyed this vid, please leave a like, and if you're new and want to see more, then please click the subscribe button. Have an awesome rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next video.